From having some of the best players in the world to a much quicker 54-hole format, here's why Greg Norman thinks golfers want to join LIV and not the PGA Tour. I mean, the LIV CEO made it seem like people were lining up to sign for him, and honestly, I don't doubt him one bit. After all, the Saudi-funded league has been giving away multi-million-dollar contracts left, right, and center, so you'd be a fool to reject that sort of money, no matter what level you play at. Of course, the Aussie himself doesn't like to talk about the money aspect of it, and instead, he gives it another spin, saying that he's got some of the best golfers in the world on his roster. Yeah, and how did they join the league exactly? Still, it was pretty evident over the Masters weekend as Brooks Koepka and Phil Mickelson, two of LIV's biggest stars, were right at the top in second place behind the eventual winner, Jon Rahm. And that, for Norman, is a testament to just how strong his league has gotten. That being said, even though a lot of people are happy with where the LIV field is, Greg says that the work has only just started. In fact, he wants to bring a lot more quality players into the mix. Speaking to the NCA Newswire recently, the Australian said that the list of players who want to come on board is super long. He also added that we'd all be surprised if he heard how good some of these names are. I mean, don't tease us like this, dude. Just spill the beans already. Of course, he talked about how they are full right now with 48 players and don't need to add more ASAP, but there's a lot of future planning going into the whole thing too, as some of the current players are contracted for the next 4 to 5 years. Though, if reports are to be believed, then you've got players like Hideki Matsuyama, Will Zalatoris, and Patrick Cantlay waiting to switch sides and join LIV Golf, which, honestly, would be a pretty huge deal. After all, if there's anything that's maybe missing from the league, it's some extra top quality talent that's enough to boost ratings on days when players like Cam Smith or Dustin Johnson can't carry the show.
Dustin Johnson, up he goes!
Besides, it's fascinating to hear that these top players do want to join the circuit, because it's not like the PGA Tour is doing badly right now. In fact, if anything, the tour is the strongest it's been in a very long time. Though, there's another reason why Norman thinks they all want to join LIV Golf, and it's the fact that the Saudi-funded league is trying to innovate and change things. If it weren't for the upstart circuit swooping in with its big money and brand new format, the PGA Tour probably wouldn't have made the changes to its prize money and elevated events. What's more, Norman thinks that the PGA Tour has sorta opened a Pandora's box by turning the whole thing into an us versus them war. So, you know how they ban anyone who tries to play for the Saudi League? Well, it turns out a lot of players just don't like being threatened like that and want more control over their careers, which of course, LIV Golf is more than happy to allow. Besides, the new format, which includes 54-hole team-based events, shotgun starts, and no cuts, also appeals to younger audiences and players. Not only is it much quicker than your usual 72-hole event,
Birdie put at 9. He doesn't seem phased at all.
but it can also have some super exciting endings, as all players end their days at the same time. So there's just a lot more tension involved. Now, many people say that this is the big golfing war, and there can only be one winner in all of this. But Greg Norman thinks the opposite. As a matter of fact, the Australian doesn't want the hostility to continue between the two tours at all. It was never that way. It never had to be one or the other, he said. And for him, it's just the fact that the PGA Tour didn't like it when an outsider stepped in and offered real competition. Now, there's been speculation over the fact that LIV Golf is maybe not doing so well. After all, the league did accuse the tour of blocking its TV rights deal, something that has significantly hurt its media revenue. According to Norman, however, the Saudi-funded tour is here to stay, and somewhere down the line, in some way, shape, or form, the two parties will have to come to the table and talk it out. After all, no one likes the divisive nature of the sport right now. Oh, and even if the PGA Tour does want to continue fighting, they're probably not going to be delivering any killing blows to LIV Golf anytime soon. You know why? Because the upstart league is currently at its strongest point as well. Oh, and don't just take my word for it, Norman thinks the same as well. Continuing his interview,
The focal point today for golf around the world because people are seeing these images. My phone is lit up.
The Liv chief said that he's had to have an incredibly thick skin over the past 12 months. And I mean, yeah, I'm sure it wouldn't have been easy putting up with all the questions about the Saudi funding, the whole ruining the game accusations, and just so much hate. Though, for Greg, it's been all worth it just for the experience he's had at the league's event at the Grange in Adelaide. Like, make no mistake, this was probably the biggest show the upstart circuit has managed to put up yet, as thousands of people lined up to watch some of their favorite golfers, including local star Cam Smith, go head-to-head against each other. What's more, while Norman was always expecting a big turnout, even he was surprised at just how many people turned up to watch the event. So, for him, this was pretty good proof that yeah, their model is here to stay. And you know what that means? More stability, which, of course, would allow players to make long-term decisions about their careers and join Live Golf. However, the Aussie legend said that he just wants to do what's right for the game of golf, the players, and of course the fans. I mean, the future does look pretty bright for Live Golf if you look at some of their recent events and individual performances. But PGA Tour stars aren't the only ones looking to join Norman's side. There's interest from the women's side of things too. As a matter of fact, the Live CEO even mentioned how he was approached by a bunch of LPGA Tour and the Ladies European Tour players.
Good round now.
About establishing a women's Live series, and while that's a pretty ambitious idea right now, since even the men's side of the league isn't exactly stable, it is something that they've discussed internally. He talked about how everyone's loving their product right now, which even includes the organizers. Oh, and he even teased a potential second Live Golf event in Australia, which, honestly, would be a massive power move. All of these things are great, but the question is, with a field that's already full with 48 players, how do you even accommodate more people who want to join in? And well, Greg Norman thinks that relegation is the answer. Yep, he talked about how they could potentially have different tiers of leagues. You know how it is in European soccer. So essentially, you'd have the best players in the top tier, while those teams that fail to perform consistently would get relegated to the second tier and then replaced by another promoted team. And I mean, this idea has worked for a lot of other sports, so there's no reason to believe that it won't work here too. Well, apart from the fact that maybe golf is a bit of an individual sport, still, the fact remains that there's genuine excitement over the future of Live, and elite golfers want to join despite the PGA Tour's threats, which is a testament to just how far they've come. Besides, with massive contracts and a super chill playing schedule that allows players to take time off, or play events on other tours to rack up some ranking points, Live does seem like the choice for a lot of golfers right now. And that, folks, is why golfers want to join Live and hate the PGA Tour.